Alright, now for the next segment, in which I'm going to be playing the 1995 PC version of Jeopardy, which was requested. As soon as I get it loaded up here. Alright. I'm gonna get it loaded up here. And you're actually looking at the game on my TV. Oh, sorry, folks. Jeopardy. Let's play! Alright, let's play.
Welcome to Jeopardy! Let's begin our game.
Alright, let's do it. I'm gonna use my name. No, I'm gonna use Mark's name. It won't be him, spacebar. Sure. She'll be a beanie. And he'll be a beanie.
Hello, I'm Ruth Goldsmith. I'm a chemist for a pharmaceutical company. I've been interested in science ever since my mother gave me my first science kit for my 10th birthday.
My name's Ted Smith. I'm a print journalist with a major weekly news magazine. I love my job, and I spend my spare time studying the day's events from Washington.
All right, contestants, let's begin round one.
British novelists.
There's one daily double on the board.
Vietnam.
Here are the categories.
Candles. Louisiana. Animals. And finally, C, food, with the letter C in quotation marks.
Good luck. Contestant number one, we'll start with you. Let's take a look at the answer.
The first of his James Bond novels was Casino Royale in 1953.
Contestant number one.
Who is Ian Fleming?
You are correct. Contestant
British
number
novelist,
one.
200.
Here is the clue.
He serialized the Old Curiosity Shop in his own weekly magazine, Master Humphrey's Clock.
Contestant number one.
Who is Charles Dickens?
You are correct. Contestant
British
number
novelist,
one.
300. This author of Robinson Crusoe is regarded as one of the founders of the English novel.
Contestant number one.
Who is Daniel Defoe?
You are correct.
British
Contestant number
novelist,
one.
400. For many years, this Dracula author served as the business manager of actor Sir Henry Irving.
Contestant number one.
Who is Bram Stoker?
You are correct. Contestant number one.
It only took about a year to write the 500,000 words in his work, The Outline of History.
Contestant number three.
Who is H.G. Wells?
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number three.
Vietnam for 100. In 1867, Cochin, China, the southern part of Vietnam, became a colony of this country.
Contestant number one.
What is Cambodia?
Sorry.
No.
Contestant number three.
What is France?
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number three.
Vietnam, 200. Banh Chung are rice cakes made especially for Tet, this holiday.
Contestant number one.
What is New Year's?
Yes.
Lunar New Year's,
that's
yeah.
correct. Contestant
Vietnam
number
for
one.
300. Cameras are banned in his tomb, though he said nothing is more precious than independence and freedom.
Contestant number one.
Who is Ho Chi Minh? Yep.
Good job.
Thank you.
Contestant
Vietnam
number
for
one.
400. The country has two major river systems, the Red in the north and this one, known for its delta, in the south.
Contestant number 1.
What is the Mekong?
You are correct.
Vietnam for 500.
Contestant number 1.
The Hanoi Hilton on Hoa Lo Street is actually one of these.
Contestant number 3.
What is a zoo?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's wrong. Contestant number 2.
What is a prison? Yep.
Yes. Select. Contestant number 2.
Candles for 100. Made by insects, it's the towel-like substance used to make candles.
Contestant number 1.
What is wax?
Wrong.
Oh, I had to be more specific.
Contestant number 3.
Wasp wax? No.
Oh, sorry. That's not right.
I know this, but...
Contestant number 2.
Looking for beeswax, yeah.
You are
I had to be
correct.
more specific.
Contestant number 2.
Candles 200. When making candles, these parts are covered by dripping, molding, or rolling.
Contestant number 3.
What are molds? No.
Wrong. Contestant number 2.
What are the wicks?
You are correct. Contestant number 2.
Candles 300. It's a cylinder-shaped firework that spews out sparks and balls of fire.
Contestant number 1.
What is a Roman candle?
You are correct.
Oh yeah.
Contestant
Candles
number
400.
1.
You'll need 44 candles to make it through this annual Jewish holiday.
Contestant number 1.
What is... Hanukkah?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That's correct. Contestant
Candles
number
500.
1.
Tradition says if you reveal your wish after blowing these out, it won't come true.
Contestant number 1.
What are birthday candles?
Yes.
They're birthday candles,
That's
correct.
correct. Contestant
Louisiana
number
for
1.
100. This, the largest reptile in the state, can grow to about 16 feet in length.
Contestant number 1.
What is the alligator?
Yes. That's correct.
Louisiana 200.
Contestant number 1.
The brown variety of this pouched bird is Louisiana's state bird.
Contestant number 1.
What is the pelican?
Yes. That's correct.
Louisiana 300.
Contestant number 1.
Pierre Clement Lusat was this country's last colonel governor of Louisiana.
Contestant number 1.
What is France?
Yes. That's
Louisiana
correct.
400.
Contestant number 1.
Daily Double. Okay.
Contestant number 1. What would you like to
Just
win?
500. In the 1968 presidential election, the third went for this third-party candidate. I'm going to go with who is George Wallace.
Yes.
And I'm right.
That's correct.
Louisiana 500.
Contestant number 1.
Louisiana became a state in this year in which the U.S. went to war with Great Britain.
Contestant number 1.
I'm going to say, what is 1812?
Yes. That's correct. Contestant
Animals for
number 1.
100. These insects are carnivorous with big pincer-like jaws and move along the rainforest floor.
Contestant number 3.
What are spiders? No.
Wrong. Contestant number 1.
I'll try it. What are scorpions? No.
Sorry, incorrect. Anyone else? Contestant number 2.
What are beetles? No. Army ants.
Sorry, incorrect. Contestant
Animals
number 1.
200. It's so damp in the rainforest that this primitive plant can be found growing on slabs.
Contestant number 2.
What is moss? No.
Sorry, that's incorrect. Contestant number 3.
What is algae?
You are correct. Contestant number 3.
Animals 300. Related to the cobra, these snakes can be recognized by their bold bands of black, red, and yellow.
Contestant number 2.
What are coral snakes?
Yes,
Yep.
that's correct. Contestant number 2.
Animals 400. Great jacamars and resplendent quetzals are types of these.
Contestant number 3.
What are birds?
You are correct. Contestant number 3.
Animals 500. These monkeys, named for their thick fur, can hang by their tails while picking fruit.
Contestant number 2.
What are woolly monkeys?
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 2.
Seafood for 100. Without its husk, this palm fruit weighs about 1.5 pounds.
Contestant number 1.
What is a coconut?
Yes, that's correct.
200.
Contestant number 1.
About a third of the cheese produced in the U.S. is of this variety.
Contestant number 1.
What is cheddar?
Yes,
300.
that's correct. Contestant number 1.
When making this Indian relish at home, green peaches may be substituted for the mangoes.
Contestant number 1.
What is chutney?
Yes,
400.
that's correct. Contestant number 1.
Ambrose Bierce defined it as a familiar kitchen garden vegetable about as large and wise as a man's head.
Contestant number 1.
What is cabbage?
Yes,
Now the
that's
last
correct.
clue.
Contestant number 1.
Connoisseurs of this food often prefer the Sevruga over the Beluga because it's the finest grained.
Contestant number 1.
What is caviar?
Yes.
And I finished the Jeopardy
That's
round with $5,900. Not bad. Double Jeopardy time.
Now for the double Jeopardy round. With two
Military leaders.
somewhere on the board.
Poetry.
in these categories.
Disasters. Nicknames. Islands. And finally, pop music. Let's begin.
Good luck. We'll begin the game with contestant number 3.
Military leaders 200.
Let's take a look at the answer.
As captain of HMS Director, he was set ashore in the 1797 mutiny, 18 years after the Bounty Affair.
Contestant number 3.
Who was Captain William Bligh?
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 3.
Military leaders 400. In 218 BC, he left eastern Spain for northern Italy with 102,000 men and about 40 elephants.
Contestant number 1.
Who is Hannibal?
Yes.
Military leaders 600.
Contestant number 1.
This Israeli general lost his left eye while fighting with the Allies in Lebanon during World War II.
Contestant number 1.
I'm going to take a guess and say, who is Benjamin Disraeli? No.
Sorry, incorrect. Anyone else? Contestant number 3.
Who is Davidson? No.
Sorry, that's incorrect. Contestant number 2.
Marcus?
Oh,
Moshe
sorry.
Dayan.
That's not right.
Military
number
leaders
1.
800. AEF commander whose My Experiences in the World War won the 1932 Pulitzer Prize for History.
Contestant number 2.
Who is John J. Pershing?
You are correct. Contestant number 2.
On July 8, 1950, this American general was named commander of UN forces in Korea.
Contestant number 2.
Who is Douglas MacArthur? That was my guess. Or DMAC.
Yes. Select again.
Let's keep going.
Contestant number 2.
Poetry 200.
The answer there is...
This Poe heroine lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me.
Contestant number 3.
Annabelle Lee.
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 3.
Poetry 400. On July 8th, 1822, he drowned while sailing off Livorno, Italy. His body was cremated on the beach.
Contestant number 3.
Percy Shelley.
You are correct. Contestant number 3.
Poetry 600. The prologue to this 14th century work describes the over 24 people who met at the Tabard Inn.
Contestant number 1.
I'm going to say, what is the Canterbury Tales?
You are
Alright,
correct.
Poetry 800.
Contestant number 1.
Oliver Wendell Holmes called this sea creature a ship of pearl that sails the unshadowed main.
Contestant number 3.
What is sea slug? No.
No, I'm afraid that is not correct. Contestant number 2.
Is it a starfish?
I'm sorry, that's wrong.
No. I think I know, but I don't really want to risk it. The Chambered Nautilus. Good thing I didn't. Poetry 1000.
Contestant number 1.
Dilly double. One of the two.
Contestant number 1. What would you like to win?
300. The 1798 collection, Lyrical Ballads, contained poems by both Coleridge and this Tintern Abbey poet. Who is Corey Lawrence?
No.
No, William
I'm afraid that is
Wordsworth.
not correct.
Disasters
Contestant number 1.
200. Actress Ruth Roman was one of the survivors when this Italian liner sank in 1956.
Contestant number 2.
Archeoloro, no.
Sorry, that's incorrect. Contestant number 3.
What is it, Emlyn Fitzgerald?
Sorry, incorrect. Anyone else?
I think I know, but I can't, the name's just not coming to me. The Andrea Doria. Disasters 400.
Contestant number 1.
This volcano, which buried Pompeii, destroyed the city of Torre del Greco several times.
Contestant number 1.
What is Mount Vesuvius?
Yes, that's correct.
Disaster
Contestant number
600.
1.
In 1918, in the worst epidemic in U.S. history, over 500,000 Americans died from the Spanish form of this.
Contestant number 1.
What is the influenza?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Disasters
correct.
800.
Contestant number 1.
In 1945, a U.S. Army bomber crashed into this skyscraper, leaving 13 dead.
Contestant number 1.
What is the Empire State Building?
Yes.
And
That's
Disasters for
correct.
1,000.
Contestant number 1.
1988 saw one of the worst air disasters when a Pan Am jet exploded over this Scottish village. I don't really have a clue on this one, so I'm gonna stay where I'm at. Lockerbie. Alright.
Contestant number 1.
Nicknames 200. Harriet Tubman's nicknames compared her to this biblical hero who led his people out of slavery.
Contestant number 1.
Who is David?
Wrong.
No.
Contestant number 2.
Who is Aaron? No.
Wrong. Contestant number 3.
Who is Moses? He's
Yes.
the one.
That's correct. Contestant number 3.
Nicknames 400. Nicknamed the Smiling Pope, he didn't have much to smile about. He was only Pope for 33 days.
Contestant number 2.
Pope Innocenti?
Ooh, I'm sorry. That's wrong.
No idea. John Paul I. That was actually my guess, my hunch, but I didn't want to risk
Contestant number
it.
3.
Nickname 600. World War II GIs called this sarong girl the sweetheart of the foxholes.
Contestant number 3.
Who is Dorothy Lamour? She's
Yes.
the one.
That's correct. Contestant number
Nicknamed
3.
800. Gangster Arthur Flegenheimer went by this name though he was born in the Bronx, not the Netherlands.
Contestant number 1.
What is Dutch?
You are correct.
Dutch Schultz, yeah.
Contestant
Nickname's
number 1.
1000. Comparing him to a Visigoth king and a poet, Voltaire dubbed this great Prussian ruler Alaric Khotin.
Contestant number 3.
Frederick the Great?
You are correct. Contestant number
Islands
3.
200.
Here is the clue.
Okay. This island, 2 miles from the Italian mainland, is the most populous in the Mediterranean.
Contestant number 1.
What is Sicily?
You are
Islands
correct.
400.
Contestant number 1.
The last full-blooded Aborigine on this island state of Australia died in 1876.
Contestant number 3.
What is Northwest Territory?
I'm sorry. That's wrong. Contestant number 2.
What is Tasmania?
You are correct. Contestant number
Island
2.
600. Longwood House, a Napoleonic museum, is maintained on this South Atlantic British territory.
Contestant number 2.
What is Malta?
Sorry, incorrect. Anyone else?
No, Malta's in the Mediterranean.
Contestant number 3.
What is Elba? No.
Sorry. Contestant number 1.
What is Waterloo?
No,
St.
I'm
Helena.
afraid that is not correct.
Oh well.
Contestant number 2.
Islands 800, the other daily double. And she's going to do 800. She could have wagered up to 1,000, but she's going to do 800, so here's the clue. Once known as the Spice Islands, the Moluccas are now part of this country. What is Azores?
Oh,
Nope,
sorry.
Indonesia.
That's not right. Contestant number 2.
Islands for 1,000. The Azores in this island group, 400 miles off Morocco, are districts of Portugal.
Contestant number 1.
I'm going to say what are the Canary Islands?
Wrong.
No.
Contestant number 3.
The Madeira Islands.
You are
Oh,
correct.
yeah.
Contestant
Pop
number
Music
3.
200. This Beatle won a 1971 Grammy for arranging Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey.
Contestant number 1.
Who is Paul McCartney?
Yes.
400.
That's correct. Contestant number 1.
The TV soundtrack album Aloha from Hawaii via Satellite was this rock star's last #1 LP.
Contestant number 3.
Who is Jim Morrison? No.
Sorry. That's incorrect. Contestant number 2.
Jimi Hendrix, and that was my hunch.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, good thing I didn't
That's
ring
wrong.
in. I think I know, but I'm gonna stay where I'm at. Elvis Presley, okay, that was another guess I had.
Contestant number
600.
1.
Eddie Kendricks left this Motown group in 1971, right after Just My Imagination.
Contestant number 2.
Who are the Temptations?
You are correct. Contestant number 2.
Pop Music 800.
The answer there is...
This lead singer and his group, the Mindbenders, topped the charts in 1965 with Game of Love.
Contestant number 2.
Who is Bobby Darin? No.
Sorry. Contestant number 3.
Who is Fabian?
Sorry. That's incorrect.
I don't really have a hunch, so I'm not going to ring in, but Ruth, I'll tell you right now, you got to get this next question right if you want to stick around for Final Jeopardy. Wayne Fontana.
Contestant number 2.
Now the last clue. In 1984, Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, and Nile Rodgers formed this group to record Sea of Love.
Contestant number 2.
What is the Honey Drippers?
You
And she'll
are
be around
correct.
for Final Jeopardy.
The Final Jeopardy category
It's
is
poets.
contestant number 1. What would you like to wager?
$200.
The Final Jeopardy clue is
Alright, I'm going to have to mute the sound so that way I don't get a content ID claim for the Final Jeopardy theme. In 1993, Maya Angelou became the first poet to read at a presidential inauguration since this poet in 1961. Who is Robert Burns?
contestant number 3. Your Final Jeopardy response was correct. Let's see what contestant number
Oh, it was
3
Robert
wagered.
Frost. Oh. I had the Robert right, but it was not Robert Burns. It was Robert Frost.
Your total?
Oh, well. That's okay.
Contestant number 2. Your Final Jeopardy response was sorry, incorrect. Let's see what contestant
Carl
number
Sandburg.
2 wagered.
150, so you're going to tie Ted.
Your total? Contestant number 1. Your Final Jeopardy response was sorry, that's incorrect.
I had the Robert
Let's
right,
see
I
what
just picked the
contestant
wrong
number
one.
1 wagered.
I wagered just $200, so I dropped down to $7,000, but I still win the game.
Your total? Contestant number 1, you are now the reigning Jeopardy champion. Congratulations.
Alright. And that will do it for this segment. I'll see you all for the next one.